Marte trade. They don't have to trade him. They do not. And the other nice thing about Marte for potential suitors is that he's on a super team-friendly deal, only owed just over $20 million for the next 2 seasons. And for a player of the caliber of Starling Marte, that is a bargain. Obviously, I don't think the Pirates are going to be keeping him when he hits his free agency season, and that's going to be at the age of 33s, and the Pirates generally don't like to give those, multi-year contracts to aging stars, which Starling Marte at that point will be. And, the remainder of the season, it could definitely be the last time that you're going to be seeing Starling Marte as a player for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and enjoy it, appreciate it. Get out to PNC Park and see Marte for what could very well be the final time. There's not really any indicators. And last offseason, there were the rumors that Marte could be traded to the Dodgers, but those were shot down pretty vehemently by Neil Huntington. But there were rumblings last offseason, and I think those rumblings are going to continue in this offseason. And Starling Marte could be one of the biggest, trade chips on the whole market this offseason, and could go down at the winter meetings. And he is that guy that could really be a game changer for a lot of teams out there. Starling Marte is a player that could get a team over the hump if they need an impact center fielder. And once we get into the offseason, we'll dive into, what fits make sense, what could a potential package look like, if there are substantiated rumors. But right now it's just pure speculation, and speculation on my part that I believe that this would be the right move to make. It's tough to say that. It is tough to say, trade this awesome center fielder. But that's what we had to do with Andrew McCutchen. And the Pirates are definitely not shy, and this is the prime time for really small market teams in general, but definitely the Pirates to trade their guys, to move on from their guys. This is the time when they generally do that. It is. And, it makes all the sense in the world, I believe, to do it, especially if they get the right package. Again, they need to hold on to their guy if the right package is not there, just like they did with Vasquez at the deadline. And Vasquez could definitely be a piece that they do look to trade this offseason as well. He's definitely not off the block by any means at this point. And again, it all comes back to the right package. We hold the leverage, but if Neil Huntington gets a deal that he knows that is actually better to get those big league ready prospects and hold on to a singular player, and he's going to do that. And he's proven time and time again that he will do that, is willing to do that, and he has done that. And again, it is sad, and I'm going to miss him when he's gone, but I think we could be seeing the final month here of Starling Marte in a Pirates uniform, and we need to appreciate it. We need to appreciate his greatness and really his legacy as a Pittsburgh Pirate, because in all honesty, he's an all-time great in a Pirates uniform. If you just look at his career stats and his career numbers, again, only 2 players in Pirates history, if he finishes with a .290 average, to have hit 22 or more home runs, 23 or more stolen bases, and bat .290. That's him and Barry Bonds. He's in some elite company, and a lot of those statistical categories, stolen bases, the back-to-back 2020 seasons, and he could even get to a 30-30 if he finishes hot down the stretch here. I think he'll definitely get the 6 more stolen bases. He needs, 7 more home runs to get to 30, so he could do it down the stretch. He could have a 30-30 season, and just special stuff this stud is able to do, and he could net a huge package this offseason. And it would be definitely exciting to see what Neil Huntington could get, because we generally know that he's made some pretty good trades in his Pirates general manager career. The Pittsburgh Pirates continue their post-break collapse. After being defeated by the Washington Nationals by a score of 11-1 on Tuesday night, the Pittsburgh Pirates were blown out by the Nats on Wednesday night with the loss. The team is now a miserable 9-30 since the All-Star break. This loss dropped the team's overall record of the season to 52-74, even though the team has collapsed to 22 games under 500, as well as being on pace for the worst second half in baseball history. The Pirates continue to hold no one accountable, but that's a discussion for another time. Joe Musgrove started for the Pirates and cruised through his first 2 innings. Musgrove allowed just a bunt single on 22 pitches through 2 scoreless innings of work. Then, in the 3rd inning, the wheels came off for the Pirate righty. In the third inning, Musgrove allowed 3 hits and committed a thrown error that allowed another runner to reach base. He walked a pair of batters and allowed a 3-run home run to his Dribble Cabrera. When the dust settled, the Pirates were trailing 6-0. Outside of the third inning, Musgrove pitched a strong game. However, that third inning was a complete train wreck. In 5 innings of work, Musgrove allowed 6 runs, 5 earned on 7 hits, 2 walks, a home run, and a strikeout. In his return to the MLB level, Dario Agrazal replaced Musgrove, making his first career relief outing. Agrazal fired 2 scoreless innings of relief in his first career appearance out of the bullpen. He retired all 6 batters he faced and recorded a strikeout. Surprisingly, Agrazal was lifted after 2 innings of work, with the Pirate bullpen needing relief. It would have made sense to allow Agrazal to pitch at least another inning, if not the rest of the game. Instead, Parker Markell, who was also recalled on Wednesday, was summoned from the pen, and things did not go well. Markell faced 8 batters and only retired 2 of them. He allowed 3 hits, walked 3 batters, did not record a strikeout, and was tagged for 3 runs. Francisco Liriano replaced Markell and recorded the final out of the 8th inning. Liriano came back out for the 9th inning and struggled. In 1 inning of work, he allowed 2 runs on a hit, 2 walks, a home run, and a strikeout. Jose Osuna would make another pitching appearance to get the final out of the 9th. The Pirates would get on the board in the bottom of the 9th inning. Brian Reynolds singled to start the inning and scored on a 1-out double by Josh Bell. The 37th double of the season from Bell got the Pirates on the board, cutting the Nats' lead to 11-1. And Wednesday's loss was the latest and a long line of losses for the Pirates since the All-Star break. On top of their recent losses, the team has scored 1 run or less 4 of their last 5 games. Watching this bunch is not easy right now. The 4th and final game of the series was played at 7-5 on Thursday night. Stephen Brault got the ball for the Pirates. He pitched very well, but it was not enough as the Pirates lost by a score of 7-1. It's not fun watching Pirates baseball last night, and I said this earlier in the show. Like, last night and the win on Tuesday night, that is what rejuvenates me. That's, I guess, what keeps me going, is those types of wins, because there's always a belief that, hey, they can go out and win a baseball game. But this bunch is just, it's not easy to watch right now. It's not fun to watch. And we're going on a 9-30 stretch, on pace for the worst second half in all of baseball history, and still no one is held accountable. And that's the crazy thing to me. Like, you go 9-30 and are on pace for the worst second half in all of baseball history. The 150 years this beautiful game has been played at the major league level, and no one is fired. No one is held accountable. Like, come on. All of baseball history. See, managers fired for much. I mean, it has never been this bad, is what I'm trying to say, and no one has lost their job. Just think about that. It has never been this bad. And this beautiful game has been played since 1869. 1869. No team has ever played this bad in the second half. Ever. Let that settle in. No team has ever played this bad in the second half. And still, no one is being held accountable. I know that you can't really pit somebody as a fall man, and the manager, general manager, they generally tend to be that. But somebody has to be the fall guy here. Can't get away with this. 9-30. 9-30. Worst record in all of baseball in the second half, and the worst, on pace for the worst second half in all of baseball history. It's crazy, and my mind is still boggled just around the fact that these guys still have their jobs. Like, why? If you were doing the worst of anything in your profession that existed for 150 years, you would not have your job still. I'm sorry, you just wouldn't. But for some reason, I mean, it just shows the ulterior motive of lining pockets and making money. It shows what Bob Nutting truly does care about. Because if he did care about winning at all, at any sort of level, jobs would have been lost long ago. This has gone on far too long for us to still be having this discussion. Is it ever going to happen at this point? They say insanity is the definition of insanity is doing something over and over again, expecting different results. Are we going insane here? Expecting that something's going to change? Because it feels like it. It feels like night in, night out, loss, blowout loss, blowout loss, loss. Expecting a win. And every loss that comes, we expect, okay, this is finally going to be the tipping point. What is that tipping point? What truly is that tipping point for Bob Nutting and company? What is it? Is there even a tipping point at all when it comes to winning? Or is that tipping point financially? What is a tipping point when nobody showed up to these games going 9-30? What is that tipping point? It's frustrating because, I have reached my tipping point, that's for sure, and you all know this, that I'm a hugely optimistic person. You listen to any of these podcasts prior to, I would say, mid-July, post-All-Star break. Listen to any pre-All-Star break podcast, and the ones last year. I'm an optimistic guy. I try to defend them. But this is just an indefensible, inexcusable, pathetic team right now. It is. And it pains me to say that, but, my job and what I do is I try to be, the neutral arbiter. Yes, I have that bias. It comes with it. But at the same time, I try to tell things as they are. That's what I'm doing here. It just baffles my mind, and I'm honestly at a loss of words of really what to say anymore when it comes to why there's no accountability. This is the worst professional sport organization in all professional sports, because you would have to think every other team, if they're playing like this, jobs would be lost. You have to think so. But unfortunately, with the ownership situation that we have, it's just not the case. Sadly, that is not the case, and it's painful, but it's the truth. Organization has zero accountability, and that's why it's tough to remain optimistic. And yes, we're going to get through these tough times together. And if you're listening to the podcast right now, we're about to wrap it up here, but we're going to get through it together. And we're going to take a look at what the Pirates got coming up this coming week. So they got the remainder of Players Weekend with the Reds. Today, Trevor Williams goes up against Alex Wood in Game 2. Tomorrow, I believe, Dario Agrazal should get the start. They still haven't announced who's going to get it, but that is on Sunday. And the Pirates go a cross-state rivalry this coming week in Philadelphia. Stars have not been announced for that, and they go out to Denver for a 4-game weekend set starting on Thursday. So lots of baseball coming up. So we got the remainder of the Red Series, 3 games in Philly, and then out to Colorado for the weekend. They'll be back home for the Marlins next week. So that's what we've got coming up. Thank you all for tuning in to Buckley Booth. My name is Benson Fector. No matter how you're listening live, archived, we certainly do appreciate it wherever you're listening from. We do appreciate it as well. I'll see you here same time, same place next week right here on Bucko Booth. See you next week. As always, let's go Bucks.